The Love That Broke Me. My Story of Love, Betrayal and Redemption Part 2. After months of healing, I thought I was ready to open my heart again, for I am a love and hard girl, and to be loved and to love is my innermost desire, and I so much believe in the beauty and pleasures of love, and this time I truly believe that love will be fair to me. I remember the day we met like it was yesterday. I was sipping on a latte at a cozy coffee shop in Lagos, lost in the pages of a novel by Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. He walked in, his eyes scanning the room until they landed on me. He smiled, and I felt a flutter in my chest. He introduced himself as Michael, a writer and a literature enthusiast. We struck up a conversation about our shared love of African literature, and before I knew it, hours had passed. He was charming, witty, and seemed genuinely interested in getting to know me. I was smitten. As we talked, Michael asked about my past relationship. I hesitated at first, unsure if I was ready to open up about Alex. But Michael's kind eyes and gentle tone put me at ease. I shared with him the story of how Alex had broken my heart, how he'd cheated on me and left me feeling lost and broken. Michael listened intently, his expression filled with empathy and understanding. "I'm so sorry you went through that," he said, his voice filled with sincerity. "I promise you, I'm not like Alex. I'll never hurt you like that. I'll be honest, transparent, and faithful. You deserve so much better than someone who'd treat you like that." I believed him. I wanted to believe him. He seemed so genuine, so kind, and so different from Alex. I felt a sense of hope, a sense that maybe I'd found someone who'd truly love and cherish me. As the days turned into weeks, Michael and I grew closer. He'd surprise me with small gestures, like my favorite flowers or a book by my favorite author. He'd listen to me, really listen, and offer words of encouragement and support. I felt seen, heard, and loved in a way I hadn't experienced in a long time. But as the weeks went by, I started to notice a change in Michael's behavior. He became increasingly controlling, often questioning my decisions and dictating what I should wear or who I should spend time with. He'd get angry or sulky if I didn't comply, making me feel guilty or anxious. I tried to brush it off as a minor flaw, but deep down, I knew something was off. He'd often cancel plans at the last minute or ignore my messages, leaving me feeling uncertain and insecure. I started to doubt myself, wondering if I was the problem. As the months passed, his behavior became more erratic. He'd alternate between being loving and affectionate to cold and distant. I'd find myself walking on eggshells, trying to avoid triggering his anger or disappointment. I felt trapped, like I was losing myself in the process. I started to question my own judgment, wondering if I was blind to his true nature. The more I tried to hold on, the more I felt myself slipping away. One day, I discovered a secret that shattered my world. He'd been hiding a dark past, one that he had carefully concealed from me. The truth was devastating, and I realized I'd been living a lie. The pain was suffocating, like I'd been punched in the gut. I felt like I'd lost myself again, like I'd never trust anyone again. I wondered if I'd ever find true love or if I was doomed to repeat the same patterns. The secret Michael had been hiding was a devastating one. One day, I stumbled upon a picture of him with a woman, his wife, in a social media post from a mutual friend. I confronted him. At first he was furious and shouted at me for digging into his privacy, but when I threatened to get him arrested for deception, he broke down, confessing that he'd been married for 5 years. But that wasn't the worst part. As he spoke, I realized that I was just a pawn in his game of revenge. He'd been hurt badly by his ex-girlfriend, who looked strikingly similar to me. She'd left him for his best friend, and he'd been consumed by anger and bitterness. When he saw me, he saw her. He saw the woman who'd broken his heart, and he decided to punish me for it. He wanted to make me fall in love with him, to trust him, and then discard me, just like he'd felt discarded by her. I felt like I'd been punched in the gut, again. I couldn't believe I'd fallen for it, again. I thought I'd been so careful, so guarded, but Michael had played me like a fiddle. He'd used my vulnerabilities, my fears, and my desires against me. The more I thought about it, the more I realized that everything had been a lie. His charming smile, his kind words, his romantic gestures, it was all just a game to him. He'd been playing me, manipulating me, and using me to get revenge on his ex-girlfriend. I felt dirty, used, and broken. I wondered if I'd ever be able to trust anyone again, if I'd ever be able to love again. I felt like I'd lost myself, again, and I didn't know if I'd ever find my way back. He showed me a picture of his ex-girlfriend, and the picture was looking familiar, like I have seen her somewhere, but I was overwhelmed and crowded with emotions at the moment. Later in the night, as I reflected on Michael's story about his ex-girlfriend and I kept trying to remember why her picture looks familiar, then it clicked. She is a friend to one of my girlfriends and I have heard her story before. She has been a victim of love herself. She'd dated a man who'd been poor, and she'd stood by him, supporting him, and helping him build his life. She'd invested her time, her energy, and her love into him, and he'd seemed to appreciate it. But when the money started rolling in, he'd changed. He'd traveled abroad, got married to a foreigner, and left her behind, abandoned and heartbroken. She'd been devastated, feeling used and discarded. That experience had left her bitter and cynical. She'd decided that she wouldn't date for love anymore, but for what it could offer her. She'd started playing the game, using her charm and beauty to get what she wanted from men. Michael had been one of her targets. He'd fallen for her games, and she'd played him like a puppet. But when she'd moved on, he'd been left heartbroken, and he'd vowed to get revenge. I realized that Michael's ex-girlfriend had been a complex person, with her own pain and her own motivations. She'd been hurt, and she'd hurt others in return. And I'd been caught in the middle, a pawn in their game of revenge. As I thought about it, I felt a sense of empathy for her. I understood why she'd done what she'd done, and I saw that she was a product of her experiences, just like Michael was. And I was too. Though I was heartbroken, hurt and betrayed twice, I realized that I had a choice. I could stay stuck in the past, bitter and angry, or I could use my experiences to grow, to learn, and to heal. I chose the latter, and though it is not going to be easy to heal, but I knew I had to let go. I had to let Michael go. I had to find strength to forgive him and Alex, and I have to also find forgiveness within me, to forgive myself for falling a victim twice. I started to focus on myself, on my healing, and on my growth. I started to see that love wasn't just about romance, but about self-love, self-care, and self-awareness. I started to understand that I deserved to be loved, not for what I could offer, but for who I was. And I had to hold on to the belief that I could find love, real love, if I was willing to take the risk thrice again.